Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. This episode of SmackDown was so boring, I actually felt more excitement staring at the registration page for the Thunderdome. I actually signed up and registered to be in the Thunderdome, and that was the most excited I was, sitting here staring at a screen that had me on standby for over an hour and a half. I never made it on the Thunderdome at all, and of course WWE disappoints me that way, but they disappointed me even more with the episode of SmackDown that they threw out on the table tonight like a hot bag of garbage. And we are going to talk about it all right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You know, one of the reasons why it's so hard to get invested in this product is because just when you think that there is a slight possibility that they are going to do something cool or something interesting or something to generate buzz, all they do is throw Roman Reigns down your throat, and they disappoint you. They disappoint you on end upon end. There is just no way that they could have delivered on any promises they gave you with the new member of the Wyatt family, the new addition to the Firefly Funhouse. How much of a home run was this? It was like a softball lobbed over to them, getting ready for them to hit it out of the park, because it's very easy, it's very simple. We got Alexa Bliss walking around. She's adding more and more braids to her hair. She's got a little Harley Quinn thing going on. She's got some sort of this weird obsession with the Fiend. This has been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you're telling us that the Firefly Funhouse is going to have a new member. And what did we get? We didn't get Alexa Bliss joining up with Bray Wyatt. We didn't get possibly Bo Dallas being pulled out of obscurity, paired with his brother and doing some kind of a cool clown duo gimmick. We didn't see the debut of Abyss side by side with him, which would have been a great idea. No. What did we see? We seen another puppet. We got a puppet. We got a big fat walrus puppet with gigantic buck teeth, bigger than Kevin Dunn's, and he's got a slobbery bald head and a stupid bunch of hair in the back, and his name is Wobbly the Walrus, and he is an obvious play and an obvious imitation of Paul Heyman. Bray Wyatt apparently is pissed off at Paul Heyman for bringing back the big dog, so he made him a part of the show. Actually, evil devil Vince McMahon showed up on the Firefly Funhouse and appointed Wobbly the Walrus, the Paul Heyman wannabe, as the special advisor to the Firefly Funhouse. And this is supposed to be interesting. How? This was a huge reveal of absolutely nothing. For them to, take shots at Paul Heyman? For Bray Wyatt to do what? To do what? What is he going to do? Roman Reigns is busy fighting with his cousin. Busy being the most confusing heel I've ever seen in my life. The WWE in one night shows you just how much bullshit this Roman Reigns heel turn is. First of all, the show starts off with Roman and Paul Heyman coming out to do his Paul Heyman thing, saying all the same shit. Oh, the High Chief needs me to say some shit. Right, so then Jey Uso comes out and he wants to thank Paul Heyman for getting him the opportunity, and Paul Heyman's like, I didn't do any of this. This is all his idea. This is all because of Roman. Don't thank me. Thank him. Well, then what the hell are you doing there, Paul Heyman? What is the need for Paul Heyman? If Roman Reigns is the one pulling the strings and calling the shots, he definitely doesn't need the Wobbly Walrus impersonator next to him. It doesn't make any sense. And simultaneously, as you're trying to build Roman as this heel by having him go up against his cousin and by having him team up with Paul Heyman, you get his first match on SmackDown since his return, and you put him in the main event against two of SmackDown's biggest heels? I don't understand that. How does that compute to any of you? You got Sheamus McSpeakeasy, who's coming now with his suspenders and his 1920s little bar drinking hat, and he's one of the not hottest, but he's got one of the biggest storylines going on. He put out Big E, so he's got a lot of heat. Constable King Dickhead, he's just walking go-away heat. Nobody wants to see him. He's been the worst heel in the brand for years now, and they're still putting him in main events, but it makes even less sense to put the two bigger heels of the roster against the new big heel dog. Does that make sense to any of you? He was fighting on the babyface side of the equation tonight. And while he didn't come out at the beginning, and he left his cousin out there to do all the heavy lifting and to be beaten up for about 7.5 minutes before Roman decided to show up for work, wreck everyone, and leave, it's still him being on the wrong side of the equation. He's out there hitting spears and shit to Sheamus and to King Corbin, neither one of them who should be in the main event of SmackDown tonight, neither one of them who should have anything to do with the storyline between Roman and Jey Uso. What is the point of their involvement? It's to make sure you don't really hate Roman that much just yet. I don't get it. I don't get it. You got Matt Riddle sitting in the back doing nothing. You got Big E on the sidelines for no reason at all. Kofi Kingston's come back, or Xavier Woods rather, has come back, and he's being put on Talking Smack instead of showing up tonight to maybe fight Sheamus because he hurt his Big E last week. Try to get vengeance for his New Day brother. Sheamus then beats the hell out of Xavier Woods, extending the feud, extending the heat between him and Big E. I don't know, stuff that makes sense. Stuff that makes sense. That would have made sense. But the WWE doesn't make any sense. Just like how they have the tag team championships being in this champion versus champion match on Monday. And instead of just leaving that as is, because it doesn't need anything more than that. You got the Raw Tag Team Champions going up against the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They're the only two tag teams in the whole company that matter anyway. It sells itself. You don't need to do ridiculous things like have the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Sushi Bar, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, losing to the Loser House Party, who's in the middle of some sort of a breakup. You got Kalisto claiming to be the leader of this group. The other two guys don't look too happy about it. They've been on the outs for the last couple of weeks, but you're going to give them a solid win tonight over the tag team champions because they got distracted by the Street Profits on the screen. Do you know how much it aggravates me when wrestlers that are involved in a competition turn around to pay attention to a screen when they're in the middle of a match? Now, I know the titles weren't up for grabs or anything like that, but why are we pinning the champions? Shouldn't they have won this match despite the distraction in order to make them look like a threat going into Monday versus the Street Profits? There's nobody else for these two teams to fight, which is why we find ourselves here. But it also begs to make you try to understand, why are they doing this match on Monday? And why are they not building this up towards the crap of champions? So far, it's the only match you have booked, the only match we can actually see being champion versus champion. It's going to be an actual clash of two championship teams, but we're going to do it on Monday, and we're not going to do it at the Clash of Champions, which is why we're calling it the crap of champions. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. What else makes it bullshit? Well, let's take a look at the SmackDown Women's Division, shall we? Bayley came out and gave some half-hearted, retarded promo that didn't really say anything. Oh, Sasha Banks was going to turn on me. Sasha Banks was just using me, and I knew this because I was using her all along. Okay. How does that compute to you beating her ass right now? It doesn't make any sense. They wrote Sasha Banks off TV. She sold this injury, and now Bayley's sitting here challengerless. And the best they can come up with is a fatal four-way with Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Tamina, and Bam Bam. I don't belong in this fatal four-way because I ain't done jack shit. Bam Bam, mothballs, cat pee all day. Bam Bam Bam. Vince McMahon's favorite blonde, aside from Charlotte, gets another opportunity here. For what reason? Tamina Snuka. For what reason are they in this matchup? Nikki Cross is in this match, the only babyface in this match. well, I don't know what the hell to consider Alexa Bliss at this point, but when Alexa Bliss is the only one of the 4 women that you want to see win this matchup, because it would make for the best story going forward, considering that she's being possessed by the Fiend, somehow, I guess, and she ends up walking away from the match before it even ends, leaving you with the 3 choices of Lacey Evans, who we've seen fight Bayley for the championship too many times already and doesn't deserve any of those chances and didn't deserve this chance either. Tamina, do we have to even go there? Didn't she just have a shot as well? And then Nikki Cross, who has been the most recent, who has had the most title shots, maybe besides Lacey Evans, and has lost at every turn. And now we're seeing it again. We're going to see that again, because of those 3 choices, I guess I would go with Nikki Cross. Would you pick Lacey Evans over Nikki Cross? No. Are you going to put Tamina in there? No. But all this shows you is just how much depth is lacking in the women's division and why they should unify these championships as well as the tag team championships. You don't care about the brand extension anymore. We're in the middle of the quarterly invitational bullshit excuse that they want to use whenever they just want to have something happen, try to generate interest by doing something cross-brand. We're just a few weeks away from Survivor Series. There's no reason for any of this to be going down. The whole show, at most, was just a nightmare to go through. Nikki Cross wins this fatal 4-way that turned into a triple threat match. And now we're going to get a rematch. The 4th or maybe 5th opportunity for Nikki Cross in the last 3 months, I believe, maybe more. And are we supposed to care? Why are we supposed to care? We're going backwards. We're taking backward steps and we're repeating ourselves over and over. Just like Monday Night Raw was a repeat of every single week over and over again. And this show has started to become one and the same. It's just doing the same shtick over and over and over again with the hopes that you don't realize it. Or they think we're that stupid that we're going to forget from last week to this week what the hell happened. Which is why most of this show was dominated by little vignettes reminding you of what happened last week or why we're doing this now, only for you to see something that was exactly the same anyway. We had a little bit of a teaser for this new lady that's showing up. She ain't new. She ain't going to be new nothing. She's going to be Carmella. That's who she's going to be. She's not going to be Eva Marie, thank God. She's not going to be Tessa Blanchard. Tessa is not blonde. It's going to be some renewed push for Carmella because that's the body that I thought I saw. I saw the big fake blonde hair, and she's going to be the new Emma, I guess. She's going to come out. She's going to be this glam, sexy thing that's hopefully gotten better in the ring. She's a multiple-time SmackDown Women's Champion. I guess we could use more women around considering the amount of competition they have to pick from and what we ended up with tonight. So whatever, maybe she'll be a welcome addition. Maybe it'll be somebody new, somebody that we're not expecting, but I'm calling it right now. I'm telling you guys, I think it's just going to be Mella coming back, and that's going to be another underwhelming thing. They're teasing you, they're trying to do something interesting, but then in the end they're going to give you the plain old boring shit that you've already been watching for years and years at a time. What else did we have tonight? We had Otis. We had Otis and the Money in the Bank that's never going to be used. And if it is, it's going to just be adding Otis to the losers list of Money in the Bank cash-ins. Because he ain't beating Roman Reigns. That's for sure. And unless he uses this brand invitational to go over to Monday Night Raw, he ain't beating Drew McIntyre either. I'll tell you that. So Otis is just a sitting duck in the water. So what are they going to do? They're going to continue to put him in this feud with The Miz and Morrison, who are obsessed with getting this contract. Now, last week, The Miz correctly pointed out to John Morrison that they can't use the contract. It was stupid for Johnny Drip Drip to steal this Money in the Bank, even though they ended up with a bologna sandwich instead. Had they procured the contract, it doesn't matter. It's non-transferable, and it cannot be used by anybody else. But now this week, The Miz and Morrison pull off another heist of Otis's lunchbox. They thought that they outsmarted him, but they found themselves with nothing but a half-eaten apple in the lunchbox, because Miz now talked to his lawyer, and his lawyer has confirmed that they could pull there's some sort of clause they can, I don't know, I don't care. Let's not do any of this. It's unnecessary. Again, instead of taking Heavy Machinery, making them a tag team, making them a force in the tag team division, building them up to challenge Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, the Sushi Bar, we get this. We get him stuck in this feud, and now Mandy is out because Sonya is out, and everything that they were building is just crumbled in their hands, and they don't know what to do with it, so they're just going to continue on doing the same old shit. Otis versus John Morrison got John Morrison a big fat L, and then even though they thought they pulled off the heist of the century, they ended up empty-handed anyway. Otis still had the contract, and this match was only made worse by The Miz being on commentary while John Morrison is getting his ass whooped, and all he is a damn promo machine. And I don't mean that in a good way, like a wrestling promo. Like, he's just sitting there promoting everything else he's doing. You gotta watch my Cannonball show. You gotta watch Miz and Mrs. in November. You must see Miz Me. I don't care. I don't care about any of that shit, and I don't care about anything that they've been doing. They took John Morrison and ruined him, much like they've taken guys like Keith Lee and ruined him. Shinsuke Nakamura, ruined. Cesaro, ruined. Everything they touch turns to shit, which is why no matter what we talk about tonight, it gets a big fat poop hammer. It's coming down. The hammer is down. The poops are flying, because this episode of Suckdown was just that. It was a waste of everybody's time. Like I said at the start of this show, I was more entertained sitting here waiting on standby, watching and waiting for the screen to reload, because at least I was anticipating being on TV. But that didn't happen either, because WWE just sucks altogether. That Thunderdome shit, probably overrated anyway. And then the only thing that was kind of worthwhile happening tonight was some of the stuff that was going on with the Intercontinental Championship. I appreciate the Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles match. They had a very decent matchup here, but it was kind of predictable. You knew Sami Zayn was going to get involved. He came out and started talking shit before the match even began. So, of course, he was going to play a factor in the end. We had our Adam Pearce pop up, our mandatory Adam Pearce sighting for every show now. He showed up to try to get Sami Zayn out of the arena. He had him escorted out, but he still would come and play a part in the finish anyway, coming out and taking AJ Styles off the apron before he was able to deliver a flying forearm Styles, a phenomenal forearm. I almost called it a Styles clash there. And then would have AJ outside the ring as Sami Zayn would go on and attack Jeff Hardy, getting him with a haluva kick right in the middle of the ring. It was a hell of a kick, and it put Jeff Hardy out of it. Now, that was fine. That's fine. I am fine with Sami Zayn and, his claim to the IC title. I am fine with AJ Styles still taking umbrage to the way Jeff Hardy won, saying Jeff Hardy's a cheater and that this is, unfair and that I should still be the champion. Fine, I can deal with that, because at the end of the day, we're going to get a triple threat between these guys. I can see ladders are already in my mind. Like, I feel like this has got to be a ladder match. They're going to hang the two championships up at the top, and they're going to have these three top caliber athletes going out there pulling off a great Intercontinental Championship match. I'm fine with all of that, but what they didn't need to do was all the extra. They had Jeff Hardy after the match fainting. Now, I don't know if this was real and they just went with it and played off of it, or if, they wrote this, because if they wrote this is some unnecessary and just real cringy, terrible stuff. Jeff Hardy goes down seemingly out of it. We didn't know if he was concussed or, something was off with Jeff Hardy after that haluva kick. And they followed this up with the doctor telling everybody, well, no, Jeff Hardy's not concussed. He's just a little dehydrated. He needs some fluids. What? He's a professional wrestler. He came out dripping wet because he pours water all over himself. This guy needs fluids? What? What are you talking about? Talk about being ridiculous. That was just their way of saying, no, this is all the work, and his head is fine, and he's good, and he's just been dehydrated. He just needs some fluids. And then you had Sami Zayn come in, and then him and Jeff Hardy are beating each other in the doctor's office in the back. You had AJ Styles come out, talk about it all over again, gave some really kind of lame promo about how he still should be the champion and whatnot. All the extra wasn't needed. You told all the story you needed to tell right from the match. You had Sami Zayn interrupt at the beginning. You had them put on a decent match. You had Sami Zayn interrupt at the end again. You are on the right path. You don't need all this extra TV filling time. You could have took that time and added it to the match time, which would have made it an even better matchup. But all the rest of this stuff was really, really unnecessary. About as unnecessary as the main event for this evening. Talk about unnecessary. We already highlighted one of the main things wrong with it was that you have Roman Reigns still being in a babyface position. Nobody wants to see Constable King Dickhead win. Nobody gives two shits about Speakeasy Sheamus. So, them being the most hated people on the roster, they're not going to give you that same reaction for Roman. Now, I know we're not going off of real reactions because they give you the canned reaction and it's all manipulated by the audio team and you're not hearing real-time responses from the audience that's actually watching. But they want you to boo this man. Now that they want you to hate him, they are doing a terrible job of it, which is the problem that they had when they wanted you to cheer him. They didn't change his music. He's still coming out dressed up like just in a t-shirt and some Shield pants. Why isn't he coming out dressed to the nines? Why isn't he wearing a suit? Presenting himself like a champion, acting like a mob boss? No, instead he's just walking around with this little fat dude next to him. For what? It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything for Roman. It's not making him so, oh, he's such a heel. No, he's not. He's not. He's barely talking. When he is talking, he's not saying much of anything. And Paul Heyman's involvement is unnecessary. It's not needed. He said it himself. I'm not doing anything here. This was all Roman's idea. This whole formation of him and I, this was Roman's idea. What he's doing with you, Jay, this was Roman's idea. Then he don't need you, Paul. You're just a set dressing to make everybody go, oh, look, Roman's heel now because he's with Paul. Doesn't work that easy. You can't have him in a match like this going up against two guys like Speakeasy Sheamus and Constable King Dickhead and make him look like a pure heel. It's just not going to happen. So what? He didn't show up for the first half of the match. He still showed up. He saved his cousin. They won. And then at the end of the night, while they're celebrating their tag team victory, Jey Uso's holding up the championship with Roman Reigns, and then Roman's is like, don't be touching my belt, yo. And that's it. There's the heat. That's what this match is all about. Oh, he touched my belt. My cousin touched my belt. I'm going to beat his ass now. This was unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. You want to get Roman over as a heel, all you had to do was have him ask Jey Uso to lay down. You have him come out there tonight. You have that whole opening promo. You have Jey Uso suck up to everybody. Thank you, Paul Heyman. Thank you, Roman Reigns. He's like, hey, you want to thank me? You want to show your appreciation? All you got to do is lay down, bro. Lay down, let me pin you, and let's move on with this. And then I would even say go on and do it. You have Jey Uso over the next couple of weeks acting like he's not going to do it, trying to stand up for himself. Maybe it jumps Roman Reigns a couple of times and gets his ass beat for it. And then he shows up at the show, and he lays down for Roman. And then you have the birth of this new Samoan Mafia I've been talking about. It begins with Jey, and then Jey brings over Jimmy, and then you could bring over Tamina, and Naomi, and Nia, and make it interesting. You know, they are all really family. And kick Paul Heyman the fuck out of there. Just because he's been friends with their family for years does not mean his involvement is needed here. It's like that Sesame Street thing we do. One of these things don't belong with the other. One of these things is kind of the thing. And it just doesn't belong here. Doesn't belong here. And it doesn't do anything to make this show any more interesting. What did we miss? Absolutely nothing. We talked about everything that happened because nothing happened on this show. Like, the Firefly Funhouse, probably the most disappointing thing on the night. With everything that they've been kind of leading up to and everybody else's speculation, and then for it to turn out to be a walrus puppet, doesn't get more WWE than that. Thank you guys so much for joining me for tonight's review and hammering of SmackDown as we are on the road to the crap of champions. Apologies to any of you guys who were looking forward to Monday, but Monday put me into a hell of a coma. I'll tell you that. The show was so bad, I don't even think I made it into hour number 3 at all. And the next day, usually I would throw something up for you guys, but I had a very, very long work day, so I was not able to get down in front of this camera, and it wasn't worth it. It really wasn't worth it. And I apologize if you wanted my thoughts, but if you want my thoughts on that, all you have to do is watch the week before, because it was pretty much the exact same show. And you could do that. Anything you guys miss is up in the annotations up above, and I invite you to right now like, share, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up to this video if you had a good time here with me today. If you agree with anything that I had to say, if I made you laugh, if I made you cry, hit that thumbs up, and then hit those comments and tell me why tonight's SmackDown sucked to you and why you love the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show so much. That would be a great thing for us to do today. Also, have to, before we sign off, say to all of you that it is 9/11, September the 11th, 19 years ago, was a terrible day in this country, but it's amazing to me to remember that day. With everything that's going on right now and with how far apart everybody is in this country, to remember that one day when the entire United States, maybe even the entire world, came together in support of New York and all of the other places that the planes went down, it was something special. Remember that? Remember when we were all on the same team and we all united? In that one brief moment, out of this tragedy came that those weeks that followed where strangers were helping strangers and people were coming from all over the world to help us out here in New York City. And I wish we could go back to how people felt then. You know, remember caring about one another? Not giving a shit whose color is what color and whose religion is what religion and who's man and who's woman and who's this and who's fucking that. Remember those days? We're in the middle of a tragedy right now in this country. And everybody's pulling further and further apart. So if you learned anything, and if you were around during that time, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe try to remember it and celebrate it more by treating people better. Because none of us know when our time is up. And that was a shit day in my life. As it was for many of you guys as well, I'm sure. That's a personal story for a personal time for another day. But if you survived or, were affected in any way, I'm right there with you. Never forget September the 11th, 2001. Thank you guys all so very much. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.